Before we start on the configuration settings for QuickBooks, the first thing that we need to do is install the QuickBooks SDK kit, which will give the PC access directly into QuickBooks. This is a manual install. You can get it from this link on the support site and download this on each PC that will need to access QuickBooks, as right now we do not have this client piece built into our installer, so this is a manual run to do first. Once you click this link and it downloads, just take the defaults, next your way through it, and it's a pretty quick install. And once that's done, then you can move on to the settings in the rest of the video. Okay, this is how to configure QuickBooks for use with Depot Systems 5. There are a few steps that we have to do in order to enable QuickBooks to work with DS5 and some security options that have to be turned on for the connection to be made. So first you want to take your QuickBooks company and you want to log in as admin, and you want to make sure that you're in single user mode so that you can change the settings that need to be changed. So once you're logged in as admin and you're in single user mode, then go to Edit, go to Preferences, go to General, and one thing we want to do is turn off this switch, which will make the import process better. It's recommended by QuickBooks to turn this off if you're going to have other applications connecting into QuickBooks. So we're going to turn that off. Then we're going to go to Integrated Applications, save our changes. Integrated Applications, Company Preferences, and make sure that this is not checked on. We want to allow other applications to connect in so that DS5 can make a connection to this company. So we're going to say OK, and we're going to save that so that it's ready for our connection to be done. So now that we've got those settings set, there's a couple of other things that we can do in QuickBooks. We can go to Lists, Item Lists. These will be the parts and items that you sell from QuickBooks, and this is a brand new clean company, so there is nothing in here yet. You may have items already, or if it's clean like this, you will also have to create some. So I am going to create some of the defaults as shown in the help docs, and we are going to just make one called Parts, which is our default parts, and we're going to pick Sales. OK. And we are going to create another one, which will be Labor. Click OK. We are going to create Consumables, which we're just going to call Consume. Sales. And there are more that can be created, which are there is more detail for this in another video and help docs that we have. Or you may be connecting to the direct parts, which is also explained in more detail in another one. We are just putting this in for our first testing, and because this is a clean company, we have to have something to connect to. The other thing we will need for our testing, because this is a clean company, is a customer. We have no customers in the system yet, so I am going to add a new customer. I am going to call it ACL to match our other testing. Sorry, ACL1. We now have a generic account that is set up for this. So now we've got a customer and some default parts that we can send into the system so that we can do at least one basic test of the Depot System 5 connection. Okay, in order to verify the new account that I created and that everything in my clean QuickBooks system is good, I created an invoice in the system and I added the parts and labor to the invoice. so that everything could save and work okay. So I'm confident that my QuickBooks is ready to go. If you have an existing QuickBooks with lots of other customers, you won't have that issue, but just needed to have something in here for good testing. Okay, now that we've got our basics set up in QuickBooks, we now need to get our settings put into DS5 so that we can then create our first test. So we're going to come into DS5, we're going to go to Accounts, we're going to select an account, picking ACL in this example, Accounting, Export Settings. You're going to select your package as QuickBooks. You're going to need to do this for each account. You can use a different account code here that will match to your QuickBooks customer that we created of ACL1. If you leave this blank here, it will use this account code. So if this one way or the other, these have to match the one that is in QuickBooks. So recommend just matching it right here, filling it in. Accounting package. These are the default codes that will be sent. These can be changed to be something different. They do not have to be these codes, but they have to match what's inside of QuickBooks. So these ones that are here now for testing purposes match the ones that I just created inside of QuickBooks. You can have different codes for each depot if you want to segregate things differently inside of your system. For communication settings, there is nothing for QuickBooks. The API makes a direct connection into the QuickBooks database. It just has to have a connection to an open QuickBooks database that's on that computer. So before we do our testing, just to recap, in QuickBooks we have under lists, we have our items list. These are default codes that we made. These codes can be something different, but these codes have to match what's inside of Depot Systems so that it can get it to the right thing. And we've also created one customer. And we have our customer, which is ACL1, which will match to the ACL1 that we plugged inside of Depot Systems 5. So now for us to do a test and make our first connection into QuickBooks, we're going to go back to DS5. We're going to select our test customer that we're working with. It's got the ACL1 code, back to the package, and we're going to use the test QuickBooks M&R. This will make a test sample M&R invoice in the system and be able to check and verify our connections okay and go through the first process here. The screen will appear, and this will be doing the export to QuickBooks, and the system will be asking this prompt, which is the first time security certification that QuickBooks is requiring. This will happen the first time you do this on each computer, and we need to answer yes to either this one or that one. We're going to say to keep the company file open here. We're going to say continue. And this is QuickBooks asking to allow this to connect into the system. You will only see this message if QuickBooks is running logged in as admin and in single user mode. After the first time you connect, you will not see this anymore. You do not have to be admin. You do not have to be single user mode. But this is a one-time thing that you have to do. We are going to answer yes to this. And then we're going to be done. And now Depot Systems has access to QuickBooks and is able to save the invoice in, as you can see the success here. And now we can not have to be an admin and single user anymore, and you can also set up from other computers the same way. So we're going to exit the export screen. We're going to go to customers. You can see we now have invoice 2, and we can see this is our M&R test, and it sent in one sample parts, labor, and consumable as a test. So this is our basic test. Everything is good. Communications are working. Now if there's any changes you want to make for how the parts or anything are sent in, that can be done, but we know we can communicate.